Hi, I'm Marlena Fiol. Ed O'Connor and I are so pleased to be here tonight in honor of Camp Cooper and its programs. We're especially touched by the Cooper Center's inclusion statement, and I'm going to quote just a little piece of it. We want the Cooper Center to be a place where everyone feels considered, heard, and respected. That's powerful. Long ago and in an unknown land far away, unreasonable medical pioneers Dr. John and Clara Schmidt devoted their lives to ensure that even the most outcast in society would be considered, heard, and respected. It was 1951. People with leprosy in those days were ostracized. They were treated like dangerous animals, and they were locked away in disgusting colonies for life. John and Clara were called to move their family from the US to Paraguay, South America as medical missionaries to serve those with leprosy. John and Clara were repulsed by the prevailing inhumane treatment methods, and even though at the time it wasn't known how the disease spread, based on limited evidence that already existed, they believed that patients could safely remain with their families. And so Dr. John began searching for them in the backwoods, where those with leprosy hid, fearing capture and torture. And when he found them, he began treating them in their homes rather than locking them up in a colony. Don't ever call them lepers, John used to say. They are people with dignity, just like you and me, who have an illness called leprosy. John and Clara met opposition on all fronts. Their North American sponsors disagreed with their unorthodox and untested approach to treating patients with leprosy and withheld promised funding for their work. Neighboring villagers showed up with a truck full of rocks to kill them and to destroy their work because they didn't want leprosy patients in their midst. And the Paraguayan government threatened to jail John when he wouldn't give them the expected bribes. John and Clara prevailed against all odds, and in the end, they revolutionized how leprosy is treated on the planet today. Our new historical novel, Called, traces the life and work of these extraordinary visionaries. And I'm going to read you just a brief excerpt from that novel. On a cloudy early Tuesday morning in mid-March of 1955, John and Don Florencio, his interpreter, threw bags of provisions across their horses and began the trek into the countryside, searching for someone named Santa Cruz. But be careful, they'd been told. Señor Santa Cruz does not go to sleep without his revolver, and he knows how to use it. John and Florencio found Santa Cruz's place at the end of a swampy camp, hidden in a clump of forest. A man sat on the ground near the hut. There was no doubt that he had an advanced stage of leprosy, with large nodules on his face and deep bloody ulcers on both legs. A woman emerged from the hut when John and Florencio rode onto the grounds. "Get away from here," she said, throwing a sack over the man's legs. Please tell them we are here to help," John said to his companion. "We're not here to haul him off to a colony." Don Florencio explained why they were here, that this was a doctor who would take care of Santa Cruz's wounds and let him stay in his home. The couple continued to look at them suspiciously. "Let's sit for a while, just talk to them," John said, squatting on the ground next to Santa Cruz. After a while, the couple began to relax, eventually allowing John to examine and care for the patient. As they rode away, John smiled and patted his horse. Those two people found hope and courage today, two things more important than any medicine. They rode into a deserted clearing which surrounded a small thatched roof lean-to of about 2 square meters. In one corner, on a pile of filthy rags, lay a thin, scabby, drawn together heap of misery, hardly recognizable as a person. When Florencio asked about her among the neighbors, they said, "Oh, that's Doña Ramona. Nobody goes near her." John very slowly knelt next to the sick woman. His back had given him a lot of trouble lately, making it difficult for him to get to the ground. The woman appeared to be around the age of 40. Her arms and legs were covered with open wounds. Her face was one big, crusty scab. John looked around him, spotted a small pan and heated water on the embers from a fire in the middle of the hut. He tried to clean her bloody limbs, but stopped when she let out a thin wail. He poured a bit of warm soup from a thermos he'd brought with him and fed it to her a few drops at a time. Her blistered lips opened just enough to take in the broth very slowly. Kneeling there beside Doña Ramona, John thought about the prayerful intention he set for himself every morning before starting the day. We must give these patients the courage to live by showing them love without wanting anything in return. He thought he glimpsed a life force shining from the woman's sunken red eyes. If you'd like more information about this historical novel called, please visit us at marlenafiol.com. Ed and I wish you great success in bringing Camp Cooper's programs to every learner, including those who feel marginalized, not heard, and not respected. Thank you.